Hey world, I'm Sherry, but people call me Switz. I played Division I collegiate basketball and played professionally in Switzerland and Romania. After playing ball, I moved to Brooklyn and met fashion designer Kimbali at a New York City party, and the rest is history. We are giving dope individuals a platform to share their journey and connect shared passions around the globe. Welcome to the Kimbali Podcast. I'm your girl Switz, and today we have Kelsey Trainor. She is a lawyer, producer, writer. You can catch her on a ton of radio and podcasts highlighting equality in sports, which we'll certainly dive into later. But I also want to make it known, Kelsey's a baller, all right? She was a two-sport collegiate athlete and former college coach. So as we talk about with the platform, we want it to actually be focused on you. So I would love for everyone watching to be able to get to know you on a personal level. If you could share, where you grew up, where you went to college, and let's just start this journey together.
Yeah, what's up? Thanks for having me on, first of all. Kelsey Trainor, like you said, you kind of did my intro pretty well there. I'm humbled. I'm from Philadelphia, go Philly through and through. I went to college in the Pennsylvania area. I went to law school at Drexel University, played sports, coached basketball there, worked in the law in the Philadelphia area for a bit. And we'll get into it in a little bit, but I eventually left the law. I went from having an assistant as a lawyer to being an assistant in TV and film. And now I am a lawyer, producer, writer in the New York City area, and I do ball a bit. That's how we met, was through our basketball team, which, the black team, go black.
That's my team. That's my teammate right there.
Hopefully we can run it back for a championship. COVID kind of messed up. I got new shoes and everything for that. I got new Kyries for that.
I was just about to ask you, what shoe do you buy? So you're avid on the Kyrie. They're a little bit low for me, but you're avid on the Kyries.
I'm usually super into Jordans for hooping, but I had just sprained my ankle, and so they wouldn't fit my ankle brace. So it was like a stylistic kind of cut that I had to take there.
Anybody who's been a baller, how tough those ankle injuries are. I'm like a Nike Hyper Dunk high top all the way. I would go up to halfway my shin if I could.
I got a strong shot, but I got a weak ankle, so. So yeah, there's a little bit of background about me.
I appreciate that. So, where you're at now, it's just so far from where you started. So like paint that picture. Like you come out of college, you were balling, you became a coach. How did that segue happen? Where you're like, well, I'm going to go be a lawyer now.
Oh man, I graduated from college, and the day after I graduated, had a dope graduation party, everything. And I sat on my couch and I was like, what the bleep am I going to do now? I had no clue. I was a poli-sci major, so I wanted to, I kind of liked, talking maybe. And so I had an opportunity to coach college hoops at the D3 level. I took that, but I would have done it forever. But, being in women's sports, we all know that doesn't pay a lot of money. And me, myself being adopted, I thought about going into law and being an attorney and, doing adoptions. And that's actually what led me to law school. I didn't end up working in adoptions at all, ever. But that was kind of the journey that got me into law school. And then once I got into law school, once I was in law school, I started kind of carving out my space in media and entertainment. Even though I didn't work in it, I knew people in TV, film, sports. And I kind of just started shooting the shit on Twitter, right? I just started putting myself out there as an expert on some stuff, whether it had to do with sports law or entertainment law or equality for women in sports. I just started speaking on it. Sometimes I was right, sometimes I wasn't. But
wait, Twitter was your plug? Twitter became your manager? You just put everything on there, and that's how everyone was like, oh, this girl knows her stuff.
No, literally, it goes down in the DMs. It really does. I can't even tell you the opportunities that have come to me through Twitter DMs, because people think I'm somebody, whether it's right or wrong. It's perception is reality. So I started kind of branding myself in law school in that space, and man, it just kind of took off from there.
I hope everybody is listening, because this is it right here. This is what we do this show for. We found out it goes down in the DMs. Perception is the reality. Basically you are your own hype man. but you were in fact an expert on all those things. So like give us an example of, who hit you up or what was an opportunity just because you were putting yourself out there and just, sharing the stuff that you love and you're knowledgeable about.
Oh man, I actually can and will one day write a book about it because it's not even funny. Every single person that follows me on Twitter, I can't say every because that's like aggressive, but most people that follow me on Twitter have slid in my DMs asking me questions for consultations for legal advice. Now I'm talking, these are not people, I'm just gonna name a bunch of names, but like, I've got Becky Hammond and Swin Cash and, Sue Bird and in the women's sports space, NBA players, NFL players, Sophia Bush, like all those people follow me on social media. And I'm not going to say them specifically, but those people come to me for some questions.
I literally almost spit out my drink. I was like, Becky Hammond, you're naming some pretty big like childhood heroes in my eyes. And these are people sliding into your DMs, just trying to get a little bit of information, for you to help them out.
Right. I'd like to be clear that Becky Hammond has never slid in my DMs, but she does follow me.
Yeah.
She does follow me. She only follows like 300 people and I'm one of them. I don't know how or why, but again, it's because I put myself out there. I speak on issues having to do with women in sports and equality. And sometimes because I don't work for any of these leagues or anything like that, I can say stuff that people can't. That people don't get away with, like the fact that when we talk about supporting women in sports or women anywhere, we're not focusing on Black women, right? Like everyone's like women in sports and this and that. It's like, no, you actually mean white women in sports, because what are you doing to advocate and hire and invest and pay Black women? And no one wants to say that about like the NW or the NWHL, the NWSL, the WNBA even, right? Like they have like, I think one woman Black coach in a league full of Black women.
Give me, because this is a subject I'm also very passionate on, and just having the expert on the matter here. Like, what do you say to those naysayers that are like, okay, like you play sports, you're a celebrity, you really shouldn't be complaining like that. You're not as athletic as the guys. So like, what's the big deal? Like, what is your rebuttal to those people who just don't understand like how much of an issue this needs to be talked about?
My response is like, listen, you don't see the people that you see, the male athletes, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, those athletes give all of the women athletes respect and props, right? And they're not dumb people, right? So they know that every single woman athlete, Sue Bird, Candace Parker, all of them are putting in the same amount of work, okay? The same amount of sweat, blood, tears, everything that they do. Okay. And to me, men's and women's sports are like, they're just different. One is not better than the other. Like a basketball player, I was talking to Enes Kanter, and we actually had this exact conversation. He used to play for the Celtics. Now he's for the Portland Trailblazers. And, it was basically like women's basketball is fundamental basketball, right? Like that. It's so fun to watch. It's the game. It's the purest version of the game. He's like, I love watching it. And that's the fact, right? Men's basketball is like one-on-one. The NBA is like one-on-one with like, I don't even know what the shot clock is now, like 15 seconds or something like that. And so, to anyone that's like, doesn't fully understand the respect that these women need to get, I'm just like, go look at your actual favorites in the male sports leagues, right? Because they're the ones who are showing respect and props to these women. So you need to just get on that same page, or you can continue to sit in your basement with like 2 followers on social media, like saying absolute dumb shit.
I kind of want that to be like the new hashtag, because you're right. Like the LeBron James, Enes Kanter. Also, I hope you're right. I saw you got your like eye, some stitches last night. I hope you're doing well. Good. But like, yeah, like all of those fantastic, high caliber athletes respect women. So like, we need to start a hashtag of like, if you don't respect women athletes, you suck at sports. You know what I mean? Like, who else is going to stand up and like continue to diss these women? Like, if you don't respect it, you probably were never that good and never played it. Therefore, you suck at sports. That's not bad, right?
Oh, I like it. I'm going to use it. You make it happen on your socials. I'll make it happen on mine. Let's merge. Let's mix. Let's hit it up.
I love that. And then I know something that you're really closely related to and tied to right now is what's going on with obviously the women's soccer team right now. Because if I'm not mistaken, they're better in performance. They bring in more revenue. I mean, this is kind of facts. I feel like all these other arguments go out the window. So just catch everybody up is where are we at? And because I know there's some, some litigation going back and forth, like where is it as it stands today?
Yeah. So, what you're talking about is the U.S. women's national team equal pay lawsuit. That's the likes of Meg Rapinoe, Alex Morgan, Carly Lloyd, all of them. They sued U.S. soccer basically for unequal pay, unequal conditions. Again, that was like the U.S. women's national team. They won that World Cup. They've won, I don't know, however many World Cups, all of them basically. The men, I don't think have ever won. And they still get paid less, right? Now you can equate that to the fact that soccer is the most popular sport in the world, and internationally, men's soccer makes more money. Great, I get that. Fine, okay. But what you can't then equate to that is that in the United States of America, women's soccer is the bag. The women's national team wins more. They bring in more money, exactly what you're saying. So then why then do the men who literally win nothing, who do nothing but just show up, why do the U.S. men's team, who don't even get to go qualify for the World Cup, which is where the international money comes from, why do they make more money than these women? And so where we're at right now is that part of the case was decided against the women, and then the other part they settled. And so they're now going to appeal it. This is going to be like, I'm not going to bore you with kind of details, but basically what's going to happen is the women their collective bargaining agreement is up at the end of this year, December 2021. And so they're going to have all of the leverage in the world. It's like either not play or give us money because they're worth so much. I always say it's bad business to not be in the women's sports business. Like if people would actually understand that.
Hold on a second. I want you to say it one more time.
It is bad business to not be in the women's sports business. I say that all of the time. And here's the thing. When the NBA was the same age as the WNBA is now, they didn't make money. Okay. They were testifying before Congress saying we're a league that's not for profit because they weren't making any profit. So if you look at the WNBA and the women's soccer leagues around the world, they're not doing bad. They're young leagues and they need investment and they need coverage the same way that the men's leagues were. And guess what? Even when men's sports teams fail, like the bottom 8 or 9 teams in the NBA are always in the red. You don't hear anybody talking about that. They're always losing money. It's always women, this or that, like we've proven that women can make a lot of money if we actually treat it as an investment instead of like a charity case.
You are dropping so many truth bombs right now. I'm loving every bit, but you're so right. Like people think about like Wilt Chamberlain and his 100-point, historic game.
No one saw it.
That was in Hershey Park Arena, no TV in, Pennsylvania with not a sold out crowd. But people like leave that out when talking about it. And I think you brought up a very important point, how invest in women's sport, treat it as such, and watch how it can grow. I'd say the perfect example is look at the sweatshirt you're wearing. I think right now this is the most coverage and attention I have ever seen the WNBA get. And like, what year are we in now? What year are we in? Like 20?
The league, it's 25 years. This is the 25th year.
It takes time. Not everybody was watching Weatherspoon make that half-court shot in the WNBA championship, but more people are tuning in now. So would you say...
Guess what? This is the first year they've ever had a director of marketing. 25 years into the WNBA existing, this is the first time they've had a head of marketing. So we're just getting there. And just imagine, just imagine if you invest in women. Don't bet on women. I don't need to bet on women because it's not a risk. You need to invest in women like you would any other business.
You're giving me chills. It's not a risk, just invest. It's so true. I mean, the hoodies coming out, rest in peace, but the respect that Kobe gave, Gigi would have been an all-time great. Like all of these things happen, like you said, because someone was finally put in place. Like I wouldn't even say we're getting there. If a marketing director just got put in place, we're just getting started.
Yep.
Goodness. And then, so tell me more about the WNBA and the changes that you're seeing. Don't be shy. You can shout out some of your favorite players too. I'd love to get some highlight, as two fellow female ballers, what are you watching, tuning in, everything that's going on.
Oh man, the WNBA right now is just off the hook. It's free agency period. This is the most movement we've seen in free agency. Shout out to Ari Chambers and Rachel Galligan, the people that cover the NBA on the reg, Erica Ayala. You're getting movement. I mean, we've got Candace Parker playing what? I think she played 13 years in LA. She's going home to play for Chicago. I mean,
That's bittersweet. That's bittersweet. The whole time being in LA and then going to Chicago, like you almost want her to stay there because, you know, she's already a legacy. She's going to get a statue. But like to get back to go play in your hometown, does it get any better than that?
well, and she wants to win a championship, right? And that's what I love is that she could make that business decision to be like, yeah, I put in my time in LA. I gave him everything I have and, you know, kept doing that. I'm going to go somewhere where I want to win a championship because she's won a championship everywhere else, every other level, you know, it's so fun. So Candace Parker, I mean, all that stuff is happening. You know, I think this year is going to be kind of absolutely epic. And then you, of course, have the fact that the WNBA, the women of the WNBA, which is an 80% league of Black women, is that they've led the social justice charge that happened this past year, this past 2020. And all the NBA players will actually tell you that. You know, LeBron James and Kyrie, they're going to tell you that the women of the WNBA, Minnesota was kneeling before Colin Kaepernick was kneeling, right? Maya Moore and all them were kneeling in Minnesota against police brutality before Cap was.
A lot of people aren't talking about Maya Moore and the fact that she sat out for a couple seasons. Like everyone knows about Cap, but I'm so happy that you shouted out Maya Moore. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that it's just, it is what it is. It's like, you know, they don't get the credit that they deserve, but they're starting to. And to me, it's like everyone that's out there kind of saying, keep politics and everything out of sports. No, like women have had to fight for themselves in every aspect of whatever for so long. And then especially Black women. And so it's relatable. It's life. Like anybody who says sticks to sports is living a super privileged life where they don't have to worry about if they have a place to eat or sleep or put food on the table or anything like that. And the women of the WNBA are just like absolutely crushing it. To me, it's the peak league in the world for women's sports.
Yeah, I mean, I think you brought up a very good point, right? Just stick to sports, but you know, the white people that are saying that, they're not dealing with the microaggressions. Like they don't see what their life is away from sports. Like you can tell me only care about sports, but in the grand scheme of things, games are a small percentage of, you know, of what these women are dealing with. And I think you bringing that to life and talking about that is a very important topic. Just like how LeBron started, you know, gave empowerment to the shut up and dribble. You know, he took that and now he's like, oh, really? Shut up and dribble?
I'm going to make a lot of money off of that. How about that? And you know what the best revenge is capital, money. That's the best revenge, is securing the bag.
I think we can all agree that LeBron secured the bag. But yeah, I want to get back a little bit more to you and your journey because we kind of skipped over the part that this woman right here was involved, you know, in TV, being behind the scenes. So for everyone that, you know, just sees the glitz and glamour, the finished product, could you kind of like strip away the curtain and just let us know what that experience was like for you?
Yeah. So I practiced law for about 2.5 years in Philadelphia. And I got a call one day from a friend of mine. His name's Dave Barrett, and he is the executive producer and director of the show Blue Bloods on CBS. At the time, it had been on for 8 years. In television world, that's a long time. And he just called me up. He's like, what are you doing? Come work for me. And in my mind, I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean come work for you? He's like, my assistant. He's just got another job. He's like, I'll put you in every boardroom, every meeting. I'll introduce you to every single person we come across and figure out what you want to do in this industry. You've been adjacent to it. Let's get you in it. And I took a week or two to think about it. I talked to all the people I worked for and they're like, you got to do it because your backup plan is that you're a lawyer. So I did it. I moved to New York.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh, but I love that. Listen, you always have your backup plan. You're a lawyer. Like, how could you not go for it?
Right. No, it was taking a leap for sure. And I moved to New York and it started on Blue Bloods the summer of 2018. And it was a crash course in the entertainment industry. I mean, from prepping episodes to shooting episodes to whatever. It was absolutely insane. And much to Dave's credit, he did every single thing he said he was going to do for me. It's not often that an assistant is sitting there talking to Tom Selleck or Donnie Wahlberg. I mean, I went to Donnie Wahlberg's 50th birthday party at his house in Chicago. He got a tattoo in his shed.
Wait, who got a tattoo in the shed at Donnie Wahlberg's party?
Me, from the tattoo artist that was there.
Okay, spill it. Where's the tattoo? What is it of? Come on.
It's on my wrist. It says 143, and it's a thing between me and my mom. And then my mom ended up getting the same matching tattoo. So
Epic, bro. I'm sorry. Continue. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't just surpass that story because that's
yeah.
gold
That
right
was a
there.
pretty epic story. Like Robin Thicke was there, DJ D Nice was there, Big Frida. Whew, that was a time. I was just like, I was just on the dance floor, just kind of bopping around, like having a great time.
I'm that way too. When it comes to dance, like I'm just a nice bop.
Just like, ooh, I might have dropped it low a time or two. We don't know. It's hard to say.
So that he helped you out, got you into these parties, and how long did you take that venture out for?
Yeah, no, I mean, he just made me, he made me a part of the family. So I worked at Blue Bloods for about 6 months, which when you think about it, isn't that long. But when you're on set with people for 12 hours a day, 5 or 6 days a week, you get really close really quick. To this day, I'm still friends with every member of the cast and crew. We text, we have FaceTimes, all that fun stuff. Um, and then my boss was like, no offense, this isn't for you. Like, you don't need to be my assistant. Let's figure a job out for you. So I worked for a talent agency for a little bit. Again, another crash course in the industry. I started doing my own stuff, like producing content shows with athletes, people I had just known and met along the way. And I kind of, I wanted that stability again, just because kind of freelancing, doing that, it was tough. I didn't know if I wanted to like go back to the law yet. And I saw a job, and it was with a company called Abrams Media, which is run by Dan Abrams from ABC News. And it's a news network. It's a production company, book publishing, websites. And I applied for like business development, nothing to do with legal. And I walked in, and he was like, "Great, you're a lawyer. Great." So I ended up being, and currently the business and legal affairs, the lawyer for the company. And that's what I do now, to strip all away the kind of glitz and glamour. It's like anything else. It's tough. Some days are whatever. Some days nothing is great. But I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty great. It's pretty fun to work in the entertainment industry for good people. The perks are fun. And then through that is actually kind of how I got super more involved in sports, which was I started to write articles for different places, Forbes, Mediaite, other sports websites, and started to host my own podcast, interviewing athletes and Ennis Cantor, Jay Billis, and Rebecca Lobo, all these great people, Dawn Staley, and just vibing with them and just like learning their that storytelling aspect of it all. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty great.
So you said that you got some pretty great perks. So working in the entertainment industry, for a long time, like what is one of the dopest perks you've ever gotten?
Oh man, just like access to stuff you would never see, right? Like I would never have been invited to Donnie's birthday party at his house in Chicago with like 100 people, right? Or like I would never be invited to events and tastings, and I got invited to like a USA basketball thing at Nike, right? Like there's like
I can
10
be your
people
plus
there.
one.
Always. Anything hoops related, I got you. We went to that Bleacher Report thing together.
Shout out to Bleacher Report and Ari again, because I know she was there too.
Ari, she's the plug. I love her. But yeah, I mean, just the access is really neat. I don't need things. I don't need gear. I don't need any of that stuff. It's fun. People send me stuff. That's great. But the access that you have is pretty fun. And you have access to really cool people. I'm sure working with people in production and TV and stuff like that. The coolest people are the people around you, the cast and the crew. That's the best part.
No, absolutely. The people are what make it great. So what I want to do is kind of talk about for a second the people that are watching right now and looking and watching this and going, oh my goodness, this girl has done everything. She was a college athlete, lawyer, hanging out with all these celebrities. What's kind of like the motivation or the blueprint that you would share as far as how you have afforded the opportunity to be in the position that you're in right now?
Step one is treat people well, right? Like humble yourself, always lift other people up. Like people want to work with people who make them feel good about themselves. So that's kind of what I try to do, is just treat people well. If they don't want to treat me well back, that's fine. That says enough about them. It doesn't say anything about me. And shoot your shot, right? Like that's the best thing ever is yeah, right? Like we know we shoot a lot, right? Hey, listen, most of the time we make it. But at least you do. You.
Stop downplaying yourself. You were a baller. You were running up and down. Like you said, we didn't get a chance to finish the season, but championships on the way. But yeah, no, I love that. Shoot your shot, treat people nice. And then even just like all the things that you did, like how did that come about? Were you connecting with people? Were you networking and keeping names, or were you just making yourself available? Like, what other tips can you give to be in the right place at the right time, which it sounds like you always were?
Right. No, I'm going to go back to like social media has been huge for me. Twitter. Um, that's been a huge thing is like putting creating a brand out there, right? People think they know me. And to an extent, they do, right? Like I try to be real, genuine. I post a lot of pictures of pizza because that's something that I'm super into. And just like I'm so curious about people, and maybe that's why I'm a lawyer, or maybe that's why I'm interested in storytelling. Um, I like to learn about people and listen. So I might talk to people too much, or I might talk to too many people. But that's to me, that's the key, and that's how I got into the positions to be able to do all these things, right? Like I interviewed Dawn Staley for one story. I called up her press person, and I wanted to get this story with her. She agreed, talked to her. I got on the phone with her. We're talking. We have a mutual friend, Alshon Jeffrey. We're both from Philly. We text all the time now, right? Like she sent a video for my mom being 40 years cancer free. I send her stuff. She sends me stuff. That's it. Like that's it. Like Dawn Staley is ride or die for me, and vice versa. And we like never even met. We're just like straight up friends. Like I mean, that's it.
The power of social media and just like you said, putting yourself out there. And you mentioned about the pizza thing. So if you could, I don't want to like gloss over, but share what you're also doing as far as another way of turning like something small like pizza into, something that you can give back with.
Yeah, I eat pizza every Friday because it's easy, and I also love pizza. So I just started like posting pictures every Friday of like, the pizza that I was eating, and be like, "Hey, it's Pizza Friday." And it started to stick a little bit. I think there was one picture where I'm looking at pizza like super lovingly, which totally checks out. Um, and through that, I had a restaurant and a few other places kind of reach out to me, and we started doing Pizza Fridays on like it started to pour in. People were just sending me pizza pictures on Friday. I mean, I haven't even checked social media yet, but like someone was like at 1 o'clock today already was like posting pizza pictures, being like, K-Train, it's Pizza Friday. So we did it last week actually, and we'll continue to do it. Every time someone posts a picture, me and this restaurant will each donate $1. We ourselves raised $120. And then by just us saying we were going to donate $120 to Phil Abundance, which is a food bank in Philadelphia, other people started donating. So in our name, or sending it to me, we ended up raising $1,500 to donate to Phil Abundance. Again, just from like, I was already going to post my pictures of pizza, you know? So it's just something cool that was like, it's so little, but like $1,500 is from the kindness of strangers. Like I don't know half of these people, but it's just like it just proves to you that you can do a lot with a little.
Yeah, it kind of makes you feel like you can still believe in the good in people. You can turn passion into purpose. Something great can always be done out of something so little. I mean, you turn pizza into people giving donations, to a food bank in Philly. By the way, PA all day, Pennsylvania girl myself. But also, I want you to give yourself a plug. Like, by now, people are probably like, who is this girl? What is she doing next? So feel free to give a plug, as far as, what you're involved in, any projects. And of course, give these social media handles because it goes down in the DMs.
Yeah. So Twitter is ktrain_11, and Instagram is ktrain11. Stuff that I'm excited to be working on. I mean, my day job, I say that my job as a lawyer for this media company is, we've started selling a lot of productions. So it's always cool to keep seeing my name on TV at the end credits. And then I'm really excited because I'm starting to work with some agents and some really big female athletes to create basically a media, like a LeBron James version, like of Uninterrupted or whatever for women athletes, like when women are the storytellers, the human story changes. And that's what we need is women athletes specifically using their platforms and getting that capital, getting that money, and telling women's stories, especially in sports. So that's something I've been working on the side that I'm super excited about.
It's unbelievable, man. I honestly feel like you're the GOAT right now for the stories I just found out. Get yourself out there. If you haven't started a Twitter account yet, go do that right now. Next thing you know, you could be at a party getting a tattoo at a Wahlberg party. I just feel like that's the top perk I've ever heard of since you shared so far. So I'm your girl Switz. That is Kelsey. I appreciate y'all for tuning into the Kembali podcast. Stay tuned. Ton more to come. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the Kembali podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Kembali Podcast. Kembali gear can be purchased at www.kembali.com. That's KEMBALII.com. And you can stay up to date on merch drops by following the Kembali brand on IG at Kembali_. New podcast episodes drop every Monday at 7 a.m. See you next week on the Kembali Podcast.